Hey guys, Sam back with you Monday morning, January 8th. Again, per some members' request, I've got Litecoin to Bitcoin. I've got it here on Bittrex. Now, this is actually kind of a tricky count, and it's been slightly unusual since we began here off of this pivot down here on December 8th. So we had this very shallow two wave. That was the thing that was unusual. And then this massive rip up here to put in the third. And as we've corrected this, you can see. So this, I propose to you that what we have here is that classic truncated C wave. So we get the ABC. I'm playing it as the fourth is here. And I'll show you why that is. So if I open this up a little bit here. Let's open this, take a closer look at it. So here's our pivot high, and here from our 1, our 2, we get a little subdivision, shallow 4, up we go for our 3 high. Okay, so now if we wick that off and then look to the right, you can see that essentially we've got a triple top up here, which is unusual. So 3 times that's been, and typically on the third time you get through. So the fact that we have not been able to get through that, you know, surprising. Rarely, if ever, will you see a quadruple top. So the fact that we can't get through after 3 attempts implies some weakness, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Now, again, I propose to you that what we have here, that our fourth is here, and there's a reason that's important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down we go, 5 waves into an A wave. Now, here's the classic A, B, C. This is the 3 wave that you're anticipating in the B wave. And then here's the shallow C. That's just been very characteristic of crypto, as I've mentioned dozens and dozens of times now. So it would imply to me that if this is my fourth here with that ABC, that triangle pattern that we see all the time, well then I'm going in 1, 2, I'm looking for my 3. Now I come down deep for my 4, which overlaps the 1. So I can have a diagonal in the 5th. So it's not problematic that this here now creates a diagonal. Ideally, the hope was that what we had here is when we sold off here. So we get the nice 1, 2, 3. Now, ideally, we'd have stayed impulsive, but we get this deep pullback here, overlaps the 1, so we have a diagonal. So look, on the assumption that this is 3, 4, we know we can have a diagonal in the 5th. We'd have an ending diagonal. But we can also have a diagonal in the 1 wave. So there was a hope for bulls here that if this was a diagonal and we were topping here, that could very well have been the 1 wave of the 5th, and that would imply the 5th much higher, but that's not what we end up getting. So given that it's a diagonal, the retracement would have been from the 4 low to the high here. Right? So there was the hope that if that was going to be the 1 wave of the 5th, that at the extreme, the 786 would hold. Well, it started to not look very good, so look at the amount of time here. Right? So even when we first touched it here, it looked like maybe that could have been the 2, despite the fact that this is, you know, ugly looking. There's no good subdivision here. You would have liked to have seen just something like this, an A, B, C, some 3-wave structure to put in the 2, but this long, just choppy downtrend, then with a spike. Last hope here was that we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 1, but then we fail. So now, so you could look at that, and so without an Elliott eye on this, okay, let me pull that off. If you're not using Elliott wave, you might just do this and go, well, that's the lowest low in the correction. I'm going to go up to my high. And what have I got here? Well, I've gone to the 786. So maybe this is just a 1, 2. We've got a degree, we've got some subdivision here. That could be a very long A wave. I suppose you could make a case for an ABC in here, as this high is not as high here, and then we start a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish the C. That may be what we're seeing. It's possible. It's possible. So if you looked at that and this were, so that would imply the 5 is still up here to be defined. Again, here's why I don't think that's the case, and this is just that process that you need to go through to qualify, as I always talk about, qualify your pivots. So if this is a 1, 2, and I'm looking for a third. So the first thing I'm going to start to do is say, well, if this is my third, then this is a 4-5 play. So I'm going to go from what I'm proposing is my wave 4 low up to my wave 1 high, and I'm going to project from my wave 2 low. Okay, and note we go right. I'm going to take this off so you can see a little bit better. Let me put this back on. Okay, so we go, if this is my 1 wave, this is my 2 wave here. Now projecting from that low, I go exactly to the 1618, which is the highest probability zone for a third, which tells me that the odds are very high that this is my third. If that's my third, this must be my fourth, and I complete here in what is essentially a truncated fifth, a double top here. It's actually, this is a tick or two higher. So I complete a truncated fifth here yet again at the 1618. So I propose to you that that is a completed count, and that this now comes over here, and we are done with that 5-wave sequence. The triple top, the 1618, all of that, and the structure, because this doesn't play as a 2, not relative to this degree. This is complete per my analysis. So if we back out now, so what does that mean? Well, if that's complete, then we're looking for a retracement of the entire thing. So we now pull from the low to the high. So taking the fib tool, I'm going to pull from my low down here up to my high, here my wave 5 high. Get it right on there. Okay, well, so we know we're looking for 3-wave structure to correct it. So this could be an A, B, C. That could play, but we're awfully shallow for a 2-wave. So you think, okay, well, I know statistically that a 2-wave, over 70% of wave 2s will be between the 50 and the 786. But there is a small percentage, about 15% of wave 2s, that can be as shallow as the 38. I refer you back to the prior wave 2. Also, only a 38. Interesting. So potentially we have this. We may well have a 1, 2, and then we're going up for 3, 4, 5. It would defy the odds. It's not statistically where we'd anticipate that, but it certainly could be the case. We've got the pattern. Let me bring this. I'll just go to a larger degree. So we've got the 3-wave structure that we'd look for. The fact that we're shallow here, I don't love it, but look at that reaction that we get off of the 38. Interesting. So that certainly could be the play here. I'm going to take the wave off of that. So could that be the 2? Yeah, could be the 2. You know, I would have certainly liked it better down at the 50, but I would have liked this better at the 50 as well. So if that's a 1, okay, so that would be the 1 wave now. We've completed the 1. This would be potentially now our 1 wave of the 3rd wave, knowing that we have the potential. We could well see a diagonal, so you know we have to allow for that. So anytime you're looking at a 1 wave or an A wave or a 5 wave or a C wave, you have more possibilities. Makes it a little trickier to trade because those are where you can find diagonals. So if this is my 1, 2, and now I'm starting, and this is my 1 wave here, which, you know, I can probably, if I go down to a 15-minute, I can find a little subdivision there to give me a 1 here. So if that plays as a 1, if that's my 1 and I'm putting in my 2, let's take that degree down a bit so it makes more sense. Let's go to minuet. Well, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so if that's 1, 2, you know, this again, my guess would be that that's the A wave. So I'm looking for the 2 a little bit deeper here. Let's put the algo pull on it and pull for a wave 2. Come on, if I can get my machine lately very slow. Okay, so there's my. So could that play? You know, I like it a little better. I'd like it to come down one more time to get the 2 over here. So that's certainly a candidate here. We'll see if we get that little drop down to the 6-1. I'd love it at the 6-1-8, between the 50 and the 6-1-8. Now, we've already been between the 50 and the 6-1-8. So to complete that 3-wave structure, you know, this truncated C wave is much more common in the 4th than the 2nd. But, you know, in crypto, you know, buyers are impatient. You know, they may just go ahead and take it there and start to run with it. But you know, you certainly have got the 50. So you're close enough to the 50. So if we open up here, you know, potentially that's a front run off of the. So here's an A. We get a little 3-wave B. I'd like to see that come down. I'd feel better about the long entry there. But so what's the reality there? It's opportunity cost, because if you're going to wait for the second down here, that you may just miss the ride. It may just take off. I don't love this sideways action, but we're seeing volatility today. Bitcoin's been all over the place. Again, it comes back to wait for your trade. So, I love it down here. I would like to see one more push down. I'd have more confidence in a buy than just kind of rolling the dice right here between the 38 and the 50. For me personally, I'd like to see it come down a little bit lower. If you're just a raging Litecoin bull and you see nothing but blue sky up above, then by all means go for it. Again, it's trader's choice. Wait for what you like. I like this a little bit lower, but I could miss the ride. That doesn't really bother me. It's no shortage of things to trade, across the crypto sphere. So I will wait a little bit longer before I jump on that, but that's certainly one that's on my watch list, knowing that if this count plays, this is the beginning of the third. So this would be, so if that were the two, or here, and this is my larger degree two, I'm just getting started in my third wave. Well, we know that the third wave, that's your moneymaker. So if we can catch the third of the third, that's where you make the most amount of money. That's the again, right? We know we'd be looking for the 1618 relative to wherever we put in our two low. So lots of potential up here. Look, we've got multiple algo pulls. So the larger algo pull still up here. Here's the first target from this pull. So you got a lot of upside there if that's going to roll. We'll wait and see. We'll see. But that's certainly one to be watching. Okay? All right, guys. I'll wrap it there on that one.